And Nadine, just minutes before the shooting, Johnson was trying to check in here at Truth Ministries. He'd actually been staying here for the last couple of nights. However, when staff tried to check his bag, he became agitated and started threatening people with a 4x4 chunk of wood. Not unlike this one, you can see it's pretty heavy and can do some considerable damage. Well, staff eventually convinced him to leave, and when he left, he entered the alley, and that's where he was confronted by police. Witnesses say things started going bad when volunteers at Truth Ministries told Aaron Johnson he had to check his bag at the door.
Because my volunteer looked at it and said, no, we got to check this in. It's going to have to get locked up. And he started to take it back to where the baggage guy takes it in the back, locks it up. And that's when he snapped. Marty
McKinney with Truth Ministries says he noticed Johnson had been acting strange over the past couple of days.
Last night he was off the hook. When I seen the video, it blew my mind.
Yet unreleased video shows Johnson start yelling and acting erratic.
You know, he had a 4x4, he was waving it around and threatening with that.
Volunteers got him to leave. That's when they called police, and Johnson traded his chunk of wood for a knife.
We attempted to use a taser, and that individual continued his aggressive behavior towards our officers, and they took action that they believed was appropriate to protect themselves and the community.
Witnesses say they heard multiple shots.
Yeah, it sounded like 7 or 8 shots. It's pretty loud.
Right after the shooting, police put away their firearms in favor of bandages.
One of the officers on the scene had first aid equipment in his trunk. He used that first aid equipment. The incident actually happened adjacent to a firehouse.
Johnson is now in the hospital, and McKinney is upgrading his surveillance to cover the alley, something he says he wishes he had to show that police did everything they could to make the situation safe.
As far as I am concerned, as far as Truth Ministries is concerned, the police department handled everything exactly the way it should have been handled.
The Spokane Investigative Regional Response Team is now heading up the investigation to determine if the use of their weapons was something the officers actually needed to do. Johnson is facing charges of second-degree assault with a deadly weapon. Right now, he is still at Sacred Heart Medical Center. Reporting live in Spokane, Aaron Luna, KXLY-4 News.
All right, thank you, Aaron.
And Nadine, council members tell me that this ordinance is not directed at lingerie espresso stands like the one behind me. However, they do say it was an espresso stand just like this one that started the conversation about what's the proper level of public nudity. At XXX Espresso, coffee is served up with an extra helping of skin. And while these ladies would fit right in floating the Spokane River,
if you're going the speed limit and not stopping in the middle of the street, you can't see anything.
Outfits on other days would certainly turn heads.
Our most exposing ones are definitely going to be our Pasty Tuesdays, but again, that's once a week. It's something that we do to draw in business.
This Monday, City Council will vote on the Unlawful Public Exposure Ordinance, which would effectively cancel Pasty Tuesday at XXX Espresso. Manager Nicole Kukul says that if that passes, get ready to cover up the rest of Spokane.
Micro bikinis and G-strings and things like that are worn on the beach.
The ordinance would add the lower half of the butt crack to the body parts not allowed in public outside an area designated for public nudity.
In their words, anal cleft, any undercleavage.
Undercleavage is described as more than 1/2 of the part of a breast below the areola. Councilman Fagan says the city needs to draw a line, not a string, before things go south like out west.
There have been reports of striptease. There have been, reports of prostitution, drugs.
Fagan also points out that even KXLY chooses not to show certain images in this story.
Number one, they considered it pornographic and obscene. And number two, but more importantly, they cannot control who watches that channel.
Now, for the record, we do not consider the outfits pornographic or obscene. We didn't choose to show you them because that's not what you expect when you tune into KXLY-4. Now, come Monday night, you can expect the managers here to be at the council meeting. They have their own petition signed by their customers against the ordinance. Reporting live in Spokane, Aaron Luna, KXLY-4 News.
All right.
Their owner, Janice Hickerson, is on the run from animal cruelty charges. But in this exclusive story, we're finding out how the community is stepping up to give the remaining animals a home for the holidays. It was the second time in 6 months that animal control officers seized horses from Janice Hickerson's West Plains property. The second time one of her horses would die from starvation, and the second time Hickerson would face felony animal cruelty charges.
You know, we would like to know where she's at so we can have a conversation with her, but at this time it doesn't appear that she wants that conversation.
The last seizure of 63 horses showed just how bad things were for these animals.
You can almost count the ribs on him.
The outcome was grim, to say the least.
Starving itself is very painful. It's horrible.
But the community rallied. Hart and the ASPCA stepped in to help. Donations also poured in.
They've gained a ton of weight. They're doing great, and they're actually developing some muscle mass, so they're doing really well.
And on a cold December morning,
There we go.
2 more horses were given a second chance at life. When she heard about the horse seizure, 9 Mile Falls resident Mary Fouts knew she could help and was only going to adopt 1 horse.
His name was Fred, and my favorite cousin's name is Fred. I named my first cat Fred when I was 6.
But Scraps officer Nicole Montano convinced her to take another horse named Rico.
She said, you know, you really could take 2. And I said to myself, I could take 2. So I decided on 2.
As Fred and Rico familiarized themselves with their new homes, their pasture mates were eager to say hello. For these 2, it's a new home, this time with food, water, shelter, a caring owner.
It's because of the community and their generosity that have helped these horses get a home for the holidays.
And a certainty about what lies ahead.
This, I think, is the hopeful part of the whole story.
A story with many more chapters for these animals. The story of Rico and Fred this Christmas has a happy ending. 8 rows of park benches stacked on top of each other with 15 lights on top, but with caution tape. Is this a crime scene or an art gallery?
Here's the parking lot right there, so it would be right here.
You won't find it on a map.
How did it get there?
But the latest attraction at Manitou Park is doing just that, attracting.
I was out for my run and I got to stop and see it on the way home.
The precariously perched park picnic tables popped up past most people's bedtime.
It looks like a college prank, but I think it's pretty cool.
And if we're using a lot of P's, it's because some people are getting PO'd.
Their artwork is being seen all over the city now, and it encourages them to do it more. And
Manitou Park gardener Danny Pope says it's not exactly a new idea.
honestly, this isn't the first time it's happened at Manitou.
And it's not the first time it's happened in Spokane parks. Last week, 2 picnic table pyramids popped up in Riverfront Park. The city says with equipment and labor, it costs around $500 to crash this picnic party.
You know, it is vandalism.
But that hasn't stopped onlookers from turning a curious eye.
It's cool. I mean, there's a little bit of mixed feeling there, you know, and well, like I say, they strike again.
And even admiring the work of idle hands.
I mean, they're obviously creative individuals. They're just, maybe they don't realize the harm they're causing or the money that they're costing the city.
And you have to admit, 36 stacked picnic tables is pretty impressive.
Pretty unique way to have a picnic, huh?
Even if it is causing a pickle in the park.
I hope it's somebody that has an artistic mind and not a malicious one, because then it's a more positive feeling for Spokane.
Honestly, I'd rather see graffiti. It doesn't, it's not as endangering.
Whichever way you look at it, for now, it still remains the mystery of the pyramid. Reporting in Manitou Park, Aaron Luna, KXLY-4 HD News.